Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our VP of Marketing at Cloudbees, Andre Pino.
Hey, let's give it up for DJs, Miles Green and Twin Spin. They do a great job, huh? Well, I'd like to welcome you back to day 3, our last and final day. Welcome our streaming audience as well. Yesterday was a packed day with the keynotes, the sessions, the expo floor, and the super party. What'd you think of the super party? All right, did you have a great time yesterday? All right. So here's what's going to happen today. So today we're going to have 2 general sessions, one right now in the morning, one in the afternoon. This morning we'll cover our DevOps World Awards and panel discussion, followed by the Google Keynote. This afternoon we'll be back here in this room at 4 o'clock, and we'll have our closing keynote, our developer keynote by James Governor. Following James's keynote will be our closing session with prizes. Thanks to our sponsors, we got some great prizes to give out, but of course you've got to be here to win them. We're going to have beer, and it's going to be a great time. So make sure you're here, 4 o'clock for the keynote. Hang in there for the prizes and the beer. It's going to be a great time. Okay, so before we get into the awards, we wanted to cover one thing with you, and that is the fact that, look, we're all technologists. We all love technology. We love the tools. We love the automation. But true transformation is way more than the technology. We all know that. It includes the process changes, the changes in people and in culture. But more importantly, it's about the people skills. To properly utilize the technology, the skills to lead DevOps teams, and the skills to inspire DevOps teams to greatness. So to talk about the latest in the DevOps skills research, I'd like to welcome to the stage Jane Grohl, CEO and founder of the DevOps Institute, and Sam Fell, Area Vice President, Enterprise Marketing from Cloudbees. Please welcome.
Hi, everybody. So it's been a fantastic couple days, as you mentioned, of learning. Electric Cloud, when I used to be at Electric Cloud a little over 6 months ago, Jane and I worked together to try and help not only handle the software and the hardware updates that happen, but the wetware updates, right? There's stuff inside of here that's pretty important. You guys have spent a couple days. How many of you guys have learned something? You people, I guess I should say. Everybody learned something in the last couple days, right? And the learning is what's so important about this show, and to see this community come together and to see all of the fantastic workshops and sessions that we've put on, that you put on to help people grow has been remarkable. How do you know, though, where you need to be growing?
So, Sam, with your help and with the help of Andre and the formerly Electric Cloud, now everyone Cloudbees, we were able last year to do a really important community research project on skills. So we're hearing a lot about T-shaping, right? Everybody hearing about you need to become a T-shaped professional now, you need to upskill, cross-skill, and a lot of organizations are starting to really invest in the upskilling of IT professionals. But which skills? And so we started this research project with your help, with Cloudbees' help, really looking at how do you know which skills are important, which skills are nice to have, which skills are not important anymore. And the result was really remarkable. We launched the 2019 Upskilling report last year. The data was very, very deep. We had support from respondents all over the world. And the benchmark data was remarkable. And you were all invited to download the report, which is pretty deep, from the DevOps Institute website. Well, once is great. It's time to do it again.
Yeah, get
right?
the second data point so you can track the progress.
So, so we're really excited that on Monday, August 19th, we're going to launch the survey for the 2020 Upskilling Enterprise DevOps Skills Report. Really would encourage you so much to just take 15 or 20 minutes. It's a pretty deep survey, but the results that you'll get back, particularly if you look at the 2019 version, is very, very, very insightful. It doesn't just tell you, for example, we found out last year that process skills, automation skills, and soft skills were statistically equal across all layers of respondents, C-suite, management, and practitioner. So now we want to know, okay, year over year, which skills? And by the way, the report dives pretty deep into individual skills like empathy or customer experience, software development lifecycle, security and infrastructure. So I encourage you to read last year, absolutely encourage you to do this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So make sure you take the time to fill out the survey. You'll be helping not only yourself, but the entire community so that we can understand how to better educate ourselves over time. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Jane. Thanks,
Andre.
Sam. Okay, we're going to get started with our fourth annual DevOps World Awards. These awards recognize the best of the best in DevOps innovation, DevOps practitioners and partners around the world. We have three categories of awards that we'll be announcing today. The Jenkins Community Awards, which celebrate individual Jenkins community contributors. The Cloudbees Innovation Awards, which honor companies achieving business results through DevOps, continuous integration, continuous delivery using Cloudbees solutions. And our Partner Awards, which celebrate the ways that our partners are helping enable their customers to make great advances in software delivery processes. So let's kick things off with the Jenkins Community Awards. To announce those awards, it's my pleasure to welcome Kosuke Kawaguchi, Cloudbees Chief Scientist and the creator of Jenkins.
I guess. Oh, hey, Andre, your clicker. Okay, I guess maybe he's gonna flip the slides. I think we'll figure this out. So, we've been doing this community award for a few years. So, this is where we get to recognize the outstanding individuals in the community. Well, see, this actually works. It's amazing. Thank you. What I was going to say. So the most valuable Jenkins contributors, right? So this first one recognized, the biggest, most valuable Jenkins contributor. And perhaps you might not have heard of this person, Oliver Gonza. So he is actually one of the longest being around in the community. He's been instrumental in making the LTS releases happen. So he's one of the backstage people who put things together. Not working on the shiny new feature, perhaps, but perhaps because of that, he's very, very valuable to the community. So I'm really happy to see he won this award. And the next one I wanted to talk about is the Jenkins Security Mvp. So, as the Jenkins became more ubiquitous, it's important that the Jenkins remains, secure, protected against attacks and vulnerabilities. So this award goes to Victor Gazdag. And Victor, so what's great about the Victor is, so he's been systematically going after the plugins, which is, the different game from the core, which is going through more rigorous testing and engineering and design and so on. So Victor has been really amazing in that work, so I really wanted to thank him. And the third award is the most valuable Jenkins advocate, right? So it's one thing to produce the software, but the community like this really doesn't function without people being passionate about the project and spreading the word and gospel. So the Jenkins most valuable Jenkins Advocate Award goes to Chao Xiaojie. I'm probably butchering his pronunciation, but he lives in Beijing, and he's a small man that packs a big passion, and he's been really instrumental in spreading the Jenkins lab in China, but also actively participating into the community in the mainland, the US, and bridging those two cultures together. So that's so I'm really happy that the people who selected the award recognize his contribution. The last one is the new this year, the most innovative Jenkins X implementations. And this award goes to the Vincent Bihar. So the Vincent has been also involved in the Jenkins X project from very early on. He created a series of blog posts which really helped people understand the value of Jenkins X, because it's, for whatever reasons, when we, the people who produce the technology, try to explain it, it somehow never seems to click, but it's quite another when a user describes what Jenkins X brought to them. So that's what the Vincent has done. Now, unfortunately, none of these 4 people were able to be here, which kind of represents the truly global nature of the project. But I know they are all watching the live cast. So if we can all give them a big round of applause, I think that'd be great.
Thanks, Chris
Right.
K. As you know, it always comes down to the simple things like handing off the clicker. Okay, our next award category is our Cloudbees Partner Awards. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Francois Descharet, Cloudbees Chief Strategy Officer and co-founder, to deliver those awards. Francois.
Thank you, Andre. Thank you, Andre. I'm glad you didn't forget to give me the clicker this time. Yeah, good morning. I've been to a few parties last night and have a feeling that it's going to be a very long day for some of you today. So let's get started. I'm very pleased to be here today to recognize the outstanding accomplishments of some of our channel partners for their drive, and also in the ways they have helped our customer adopt DevOps at scale. So the first award is the Rookie Partner of the Year award. And I have to say that this partner has really brought the heat on the public sector market this year. So I'm very pleased to announce that the winner is Thundercat. The next award is for the America's Partner of the Year. And this partner, we're really pleased to honor a partner who has demonstrated its ability not only to capture a lot of new customers, but also drive adoptions in a big way with their existing customers. And as you know, it's not easy to do both at the same time. And not only that, but they have been able to do that both in the US and in Latin America. So it's my privilege to announce the winner of this year's award for the Partner of the Year in Americas, Zebra. The next award is for the Channel Marketing Partner of the Year. And I have to say this partner has really brought a lot of creativity and I would say ingenuity to their marketing efforts. And not only that, but also they have really brought to Cloudbees a lot of proactive ideas, and they've really become a marketing powerhouse. And the winner of this category this year is Fierce Software. Well, Andrew, why don't you stay on stage with me for, if you don't mind, for a couple of minutes, because I'm about to announce the Public Sector Partner of the Year. And this partner actually has added to its marketing success by also proving how great a partner they were to work with in the public sector. So maybe you've guessed, but the winner is Fierce Software. So, yeah. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Last but not least, we have an award for the APAC Partner of the Year. And this is a partner who has been a partner of Cloudbees for many years. And year after year after year, this is a partner who has proven to be a very reliable, trusted, go-to-market partner, and actually a very successful, very efficient partner. So I'm very happy to announce that the winner this year is TechMatrix from Japan. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Francois.
Thank you, André. Have a great day.
Our next category of awards are the Cloudbees Innovation Awards. To present those awards, I'd like to introduce and bring on stage Sasha Labouré, Cloudbees CEO and co-founder.
Thank you, André. Hi, everybody. So this is one of my favorite parts of DevOps World, Jenkins World, because we are recognizing the people who truly make a difference every day in, day out, pushing the limit of CI and CD. They don't have a cape, like André, but they truly are the superheroes. So we had 2 awards until now, DevOps Automation Excellence and DevOps Scalability Achievement. This year, we're going to be adding a 3rd award, DevOps Rising Star. So the winners were selected from dozens of submissions by our panel of judges. Aparna Sinha, who will be with me in a few minutes, who is Director of Product Management at Google Cloud, and Alan Schimmel, from Editor-in-Chief at DevOps.com, and I see Alan here. All right, so I think I'm missing some things that's important to say, but let's go. So our first award is the DevOps Scalability Achievement. This award is presented by the organization demonstrating the most outstanding, highly scaled, continuous delivery and DevOps implementation across the team or organization with the use of Cloudbees solution. So we actually had a tie this year, and not any tie. We had a tie to the 2nd digit. So I'm going to start with the first winner, and the name starts with an A. This company implemented a true single pipeline that is used across 5 distinct business areas. It's been in use for over a year now and supports dozens of builds every day to multiple environments. And the winner is AIG. I need Aparna. And I'm going to also ask Aparna to join me. Congratulations. Congratulations. Welcome, Aparna.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Aparna, you want to join us for the picture? All right. Thank you. Thank you. So our 2nd winner also starts with the letter A. So next year, if you do a submission, maybe you want to put a letter A in front of the name of your company. That might work. So this organization partnered with its client to transform the company's DevOps practices, achieving a 20% reduction in deployment and testing time. And the winner is Accenture. Congratulations. Okay, let's go to the next category now, the DevOps Automation Excellence. This award is presented to the organization that exemplifies the most outstanding automated DevOps process across a team or organization with the use of Cloudbees solution. Once again, the team tells me that there was a tie, and you guessed it, the company starts with an yes, an A. So this company implemented CI/CD through Cloudbees, creating a single centralized tool for all platforms and technologies that has reduced application release management effort by 50 to 70%. And the winner is American Express Global Business Travel. Congratulations. Our second award is a DevOps Automation Excellence category, goes to a company whose name starts with a B. So this company established cross-functional enablement of database management using Jenkins pipeline. Manual efforts taking 2 to 4 hours each are now taking 5 minutes. And the winner is Broadridge Financial Solutions. Congratulations. Thank you. Congratulations. All right. And so our final award this year is this new award, the DevOps Rising Star Awards. So when the judges were scoring the submissions this year, we noticed that one of them really stood out. It was from an organization that just recently started a DevOps transformation, and they were getting results extremely fast. And so we realized that we were missing a category, and that's what we're doing with this special award. So this company has gone from a manual testing and release process to a consistent, performant, and automated CI/CD pipeline. They reduce build time while increasing build frequency and significantly decreasing the number of touch points. And the winner is Pinger. Congratulations. And it's great to have a winner. Congratulations. That starts with a P, not a B or an A. Thank you. All right, so if you don't mind, let's give another round of applause to all of our winners today. Congratulations. So you should really apply to the submission for next year. It's going to open in the spring of 2020 for both America and Europe. So you can register your submission. And now what we're going to do is we're going to get one member of the winners per company, and Aparna is going to be driving a panel on the solutions they've implemented and the challenges of DevOps, obviously. But maybe to get started, Aparna, why don't you tell us something about you and what you're doing at Google Cloud?
Sure, happy to. I'm Aparna Sinha. I'm a director of product management at Google Cloud, and I'm really honored to be here. Cloudbees is one of our great partners. I work on Kubernetes and Anthos, and we serve a lot of customers that are going through the DevOps transition. It's one of the most exciting things for us to be enabling this. And I was one of the judges on this contest, so I saw some great submissions. Really exciting to see the transformation that is happening, that each of these teams is leading within their companies. And so on this panel, we hope to hear from them how they did it, what are the challenges they encountered, and what were the results, so that everyone can learn from their achievements.
All right, that's great. Thank you, Aparna. And I can tell you at Cloudbees, we're a big fan of Anthos, of Kubernetes, of Google. And thanks a lot also for your sponsorship of this very special sponsorship of DevOps World, Jenkins World. So thanks a lot. All right, I'll leave you to it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think I'd like to invite our panelists up to the stage. And so you see, these are the representatives from each of the winning companies. So please come. Google has been involved, obviously. Yes, let's give them a round of applause. Google has been involved in DevOps transformation since our founding. It's a kind of culture within the company. It's really exciting for us to be part of the work that Cloudbees is doing and that you are each doing in your companies. So I thought, maybe we just start with a round of introductions. If you would each say a little bit about yourselves, your role, and then what was the challenge that you were working on, and what was the impact? How did Cloudbees technology play into that? Maybe we can just go one by one and do a little introduction about your award-winning solution.
Excellent. Hi, I'm Adam Robertson. I'm the head of DevOps at Pinger, located here in San Jose, or south of here in San Jose. The big problem we had, I think, was Pinger was about a 10-year-old company kind of operating in older practices and technology stacks, and that we were starting to see issues with that in terms of developer velocity and pushing out product features in a reasonable amount of time. So the solution that we had was more just adopting DevOps principles and practices. So about last year, we started on this journey. And some of the biggest problems we had, of course, is getting people to kind of jump on board with those principles. People tend to be creatures of habit, and convincing them to change something, even if it's problematic or painful, can sometimes take some work. So it was very much of coming on board, listening to people's problems, and having them be part of the solution, not having a mandate-based kind of culture. But the technology side of things was relatively easy with cloud solutions.
Bless you.
All the mics are on. The technology solutions tended to be pretty straightforward, with solutions like cloud and Kubernetes. That the technology solutions presented themselves for the most part. The difficult side was kind of getting everyone to kind of get on board with that culture.
And tell us a little bit about Pinger and just the transformation. What was the achievement of this project?
Well, in 1 year, we've actually seen some remarkable some change. We actually were able early this week launch our first fully cloud-native application. We took our web product and launched it fully in the cloud. It's a full CI/CD pipeline that uses, it's essentially fully automated. That was a huge win for us. And the only reason we can kind of do that is just because the engineering teams were excited to do it. They were, most of the lion's share of the work had to do. The engineers had it, and they never once it didn't take much convincing when they started seeing the benefits. We started demoing some, ways we're able to do this, and you can get out features the second that they're complete. You press the PR merge button, and it's out the door. The second they saw that, they were really excited, and I think that was a key token. A key part of the process was just getting an engineering buy-in from that. And the benefits are, of course, what we all achieve for, right? Increased velocity. We get products at the door so much faster. We get that feedback loop. Developers don't have to work on bugs that they wrote, 4 months ago or 2 weeks ago or any amount of time ago. That context switching is not an issue anymore. And so that just really helps developers be happy and just move forward and do what they do best, which is write code.
Great. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ravish. I'm a senior manager with Accenture, and my client responsibilities of program director. I take care of entire DevOps. Site reliability engineering is for my client. Our background is, as a technology service provider, the objective is to always help client achieve, these problems that they have. What solution should we be implementing, be it technology, be it DevOps, be it CI/CD pipelining. So over the period of years that we have been there with our client, we have been pushing the boundaries of what DevOps does. Taking a step back in 2017 was the first time when we were here for the Scalability Award. Now, last year we did not have a submission, but this year again we did something different by pushing the boundary, which is we have started enabling our developers to do a deployment on their own without any manual intervention. Now, when I say that, that is utilizing the bots. We are not using any more hardcore DevOps team to trigger the build and then do the deployment. So now it's the bots which is helping them do this entire piece. Secondly, what we are also helping them is the security element. Now, we're trying to make security as an integral element of developers. By far, as a development world, all my interest would be that, hey, I deliver my piece of code and that code should work. Security comes as a last step. That, when the scan runs, there are vulnerabilities found, and then, there will be somebody who will be fixing it. So now what we are doing is we are bringing security as an integral part of deployment, so of development, wherein the developer could think and have that time to do the security scanning on their own, so that later on there is no bug fixing or or any security vulnerability coming into play. So that's where we are headed. What we have also done is the solution that we've. So ours is a multi-vendor space. Now, when that space comes in, how do you push the boundary in terms of what benefits you bring in for the client? So, that's why we thought security, would be a factor, which is in, everybody's radar these days, because one single security breach, it can bring any company down. So, that's what we are addressing.
Yeah, and so you mentioned security.
Yeah.
DevOps many times is thought of as providing agility, as you mentioned, but leaving security behind.
Right.
Or, the newest thing in DevOps is DevSecOps, which is particularly impressive in your award submission.
Yeah.
And then, do you want to speak at all about the scale of the transformation that you enabled?
Yeah. So what we started doing, the first and foremost process that we started addressing was we started looking at where are the point of failures during a deployment when it comes into play. So the way we started addressing them was that we started looking at the pain points in delivery, delays, and started addressing, during the addressal of those, the benefits that we reaped out was the deployment process increased, or we had a saving of 60% of time. So that was the biggest achievement that we had got. And then when developers started, using bots, well, we could utilize our core group of DevOps folks, building and developing something new. So their time was utilized more into a center of excellence per se, and then developers could manage their infrastructure on their own, as well as address any application challenge during deployment on them. So those were the two integral elements. Otherwise, infra was never, and it is never a developer's area. Yeah? Right. So they can never address that piece. But during this piece, well, end-to-end automation was done by them, and they could do the deployment. That was the benefit that they reaped out.
Speed, but also security, and also fully self-service.
Full, yeah. So infrastructure, application, any challenges that they could address on their own.
Great. Okay. Adam.
Dan.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Daniel Ritchie. I'm a distinguished engineer at Broadridge Financial Solutions. We recognized the value of DevOps a few years ago, and we were an early adopter. Of course, with financial services, we care a lot about making sure not only that we have a secure environment, but also that we are able to work together across different domains. Cloudbees allowed us to create a framework which we could then plug in different players regardless of what their background was or what technologies they were working with. And in the audience here, somewhere I can't really see, we have Annie, who I want to highlight as someone who did not necessarily have a development background, did not necessarily use the product, but within 6 weeks was able to create something that was very beneficial and assisted the development teams as well as simplified our deployment process massively. That's one example. There are many other teams that have been successful. Of course, that's a shining star that we've had, but the company as well as the product kind of paved the way for allowing that to happen.
Thank you, Daniel.
Well, big fan of Google Cloud here, by the way.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Amit Bhandarkar from American Express Global Business Travel. I'm Director of Engineering. My job at American Express Global Business Travel is to serve all of my engineering teams. And together, we are changing the way applications are being developed, tested, released, and supported. We've been Jenkins users for many, many years now. Our experience with Jenkins started with open source Jenkins. And over the years, our development teams, our various development teams had started using a diversity of options to get their code built and into production, to the point where we had dozens upon dozens of pipelines that essentially did the same thing, but they were developed by different people, used different styles, and it was a maintenance nightmare. And we also had some open source Jenkins environments that were set up by development teams. So we had two problems. We had many pipelines and many Jenkins environments. As a developer productivity tooling engineering team, we wanted to get everybody on the same enterprise-grade, secure, scalable, performant Jenkins environment. And with the Cloudbees Jenkins solutions, we were able to do that. We set up an enhanced CI/CD pipeline. It's a reference pipeline and also represents the aspirational end state for development teams at GBT with respect to CI/CD. The pipeline integrates with our SCM, with our artifact repository, with our quality gate, the change management ticketing system, our bug tracking system. It does a whole lot. It's a generic pipeline that anybody at any development team at GBT can start using. We've been very successful with this pipeline and the new Jenkins environment that was built to support it. So far, we've worked with many development teams. We've brought in several teams into this new pipeline and the new environment. And we are still on this journey. It's been an amazing journey so far. We're looking forward to the rest of it.
Great, thank you for sharing your award-winning stories. Many of you mentioned that it wasn't just the technology, that there was a large organization and many cultural changes that you had to make. And that often gets in the way of a DevOps transformation. So will you share with us what your secret sauce is?
Yeah, I think the general mentality when you start a conversation is being a listener first and someone who's trying to understand versus someone who's trying to dictate or mandate the way things are going to go. That goes a long way with people. It's not like, hey, what you did is foolish and it's broken. Like, no one starts a conversation that way. That's not how you connect with people. The secret sauce, I would say, is just approaching every when you start to identify a problem and fully understand it, is coming and approaching it, saying, hey, why were things done the way they were done? Because they were obviously done for a reason. No one wants to develop bad strategy and bad product, right? So if you, and also along with that is once you understand it, is have the people that are a part of it be part of the solution too. Like there's pride in ownership and fixing the problems, and they're operating in an environment in which they had an active part in fixing and creating. I think that is a huge psychological win, and that gets a lot of people going for that.
So being humble, listening, and giving people a role.
Yes.
Well, one of the things that I've realized over the years is effecting any kind of significant change in the organization involves communicating up effectively, getting leadership aligned. And at GBT, I've been extremely fortunate to work with a technically savvy, open-minded leadership. There have been many instances where I have walked into a meeting with what some would consider an overly ambitious moonshot of an idea, and I've never been chased out. They've always listened. On the other hand, it's also important to be open-minded, be willing to make changes, incorporate feedback. So I guess the secret sauce is go in with an open mind, be open to making changes to your plans, and get leadership on your side before you start preaching.
So executive buy-in is super important, and being flexible.
It wasn't Conway's hypothesis, it was Conway's law. And I think the fact of any large organization is that you have not only well-established teams, but well-established patterns that are there for good reason. I think it was Anders yesterday who talked about heritage code or heritage applications. There's good reason for things to be the way that they are. Companies are not successful because they just invented something today. It's because they have, in our case, decades of experience behind them that have allowed us to do what we do. So taking that in context, considering that what's been done has been done for good reason, allowed us to work within the constraints of the existing design, the existing organization, and just find ways to really grease the wheels and facilitate progress and speed up the process. I think that leveraging of existing functions and bringing them together across functions, I would say that's our secret sauce, because we can take something that has a lot of heritage behind it and make it really effective without having to necessarily knock over the apple cart.
So again, integrating with the existing staff and bringing them into the change.
Absolutely. You know, we don't necessarily need to up and replace everyone because they don't have cloud experience. No one has cloud experience, right? There's people that may have been at your company for decades who have a lot of domain knowledge that you can't just replace with a new person and a new technology.
So the way change management usually is done, it's not an easy one for anybody to absorb. So yeah, going bottom up, that's the approach that at least we have taken as well. And the idea is that once you take the developers on board with the ideas or the innovation that you want to bring in, with the POCs that you might be doing, once they see the value out of it, that's when you reach out to the leadership team that, look, this is what we have done. The developers are on board. It improves their delivery cycle and how it's helping in, because for every organization, speed to market, that's very relevant. So once you are doing and it's helping achieve that, that's the value add. So once you do it, the leadership team is convinced, developers are already on board, and engineering teams are good, and that's how you bring the innovation. So that's what we have been doing, and we have been, like I've been telling earlier, we've been pushing the boundaries in terms of what next? What is it that we could do that can help the entire engineering life cycle, speed to market, brings value add for the organization that we provide service to.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, second question is around talent. I hear this all the time, particularly when it comes to DevOps transformation, is that we don't have the talent. The people that we have, they don't know how to do this. They're not equipped with the tools, and they're too busy. They have other things that they need to manage and take care of. How have you dealt with the talent challenge?
I can take that first. So again, being a service provider, our job is always to stay ahead in the game, because that's what makes us market relevant. And what we do here is we allow folks to, in their spare time as well as during work time, try and explore the new tools that are coming in the market, see what they have to bring as a value add, and then themselves getting certified on the new aspects. Because how a service provider like an Accenture works is that you don't just work horizontally in one single organization. Well, you have vertical domains. Like you could move into a financial services institution for a work, or you could move into, say, communications and media technology industry. So there are multiple industries coming into play. And then once you attain a domain knowledge of one specific industry, say in a DevOps cycle, once you switch that industry and go into a new area, then you figure out as to what value add from current industry development cycles you can bring onto the next, or say resources or products per se. So it keeps you industry relevant across the board, not just one specific single industry. So that's how we offer our employees that, hey, you take a step ahead, become market relevant across the board. So that's the otherwise in today's state, well, there are numerous offerings from benefits that are being offered in terms of what expertise you bring in, and people do make a hop. So to retain them, that's the best thing we do, that hey, cross-vertical domain knowledge.
I like the way that our company solved this. We created a small team that was kind of a special ops for doing these types of things. I think of what we did as kind of R&D for DevOps. And we were completely focused on DevOps. It was our job to find the best patterns and technologies and figure out how to apply that to the organization. I'll call out someone else in the audience here. Bob DeRosa, for example, created a framework for deploying Helm charts. And it's as simple as providing your Helm chart in a single function. And that's something that Bob was able to develop completely on his own. I mean, of course, it takes a village, but Bob did some really good work there. And then for anyone else within the organization, Kubernetes is that much more accessible.
Mm-hmm. And how much of it is totally new talent versus, you've got existing talent and they're taking on new roles?
So I got in trouble a couple of years ago because I was asked about how roles are changing, and I said, well, your jobs are going away. It wasn't actually what I said, but that's how it came across. And what I was trying to communicate was that it's not that the people themselves need to be replaced. The work is still being done very similarly. If you're a systems administrator, you're still writing code to deal with anything that you need to do for managing those systems. The nature of your job changes, but the talent is still able to kind of redirect their efforts into new methodologies, new approaches, things that we know are very effective, and you can train them and bring them up to speed. And if you do that, you don't lose the domain expertise, you don't have these career experts that take all this knowledge with them. You can really foster the growth within the organization and help grow that talent and make them effective.
That's great. So we're hearing that, entrenched expertise, that's really useful to bring into this new world. So if we can retrain existing talent, that's actually very valuable. Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on talent?
I think we're going to start to see, because DevOps is a relatively new career, right? It's been around 10 years. But the people that are graduating now, the young people, this is actually their new normal. And I think we're going to start to see a lot more of that. And engineers that actually know what their infrastructure they're deploying to looks like is going to be the new normal. And operations, people that actually understand code, that's going to be, I think, the general trend we're moving towards. And so I think, well, it is hard to find good DevOps people, and it is. I'm finding a lot more that the younger people have that mentality and coming up. And if you can find, a younger person who's got the aptitude for that and wants and is hungry and has a passion for it, that's where we kind of find more success. It's not saying older people establishing their careers can't make a change. That's not true at all. But I think if you've been doing ops and you're used to being in a data center for years, like there's a learning curve to get into cloud native. Not impossible per se, but I do see a trend of people coming out of college and just DevOps is the thing, and that's what people expect.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that when you have the newer technologies and you're establishing a newer platform, it's easier to attract talent from colleges and recent grads because that's what's the shiny new thing and they're trained in. But it sounds like it's also just cross-pollination and full stack experience that's getting more valuable.
And the culture as well. Just if you have an existing ops team, and then you involve everyone, involve the engineers, get everyone, make this just blast it out, and just get people on board with the whole idea, and people will naturally be attracted to it. Some people, that's just what they like, and they'll naturally flock to it.
Any thoughts on diversity? So, amongst the winners, we had some level of diversity, but, diversity is an imperative at most companies, and even on this panel, not as much as one would want. Is that an imperative for you, and how are you making that work?
For Accenture, well, it's public that by 2025, we are looking globally to be a 50-50. In terms of diversity, and given a scale of 480,000 people that we have as of today, it's not an easy change, but that's the target that we have set. The next coming CEO, Julie Sweet, that's the target and the vision that she's already set in line as to how that is. So earlier she used to be the North American CEO, and that's what the vision is, and that's where we are heading. Now, specifically coming over to the DevOps, in this area, how are we progressing? The current team structure that we have on the ground is about 28% diverse as of now, and that's specific. And we tend to grow more. The ability to have more diversity coming into play is also, the way I see it, one of the important parameters is work needs to get delivered. Irrespective of location, where you are, need not be in office, be flexible, that attracts talent, that attracts diversity, and then you have to give, a little leeway for the folks to, be from wherever they are, be productive. And once you do that, that's how you even retain the talent and, aspire more people to join the organization and have a diverse folks around.
Anyone else have a comment or?
So the award for Broadridge was won by Annie, who I think is representative of someone who wouldn't fit the kind of typical mold of, I'm the white guy on stage, right? So, but the only reason I'm here and she's not is because she didn't want the spotlight and she didn't feel as comfortable, in the public eye. But Broadridge would not have won this award if it was not for her. I think the foundations of DevOps come from this idea that we all have a lot of wealth to offer, and just building on that, it's not just a diversity of our skin color or things like that, but it's a diversity of thought and different ideas that people have, and it adds richness to the solution. So I think it's absolutely essential. I think it's fundamental to really where DevOps started, and it's a critical aspect for sure.
It's a great thought. Okay, so one last question. You're award winners today for the work that you've done. As you look forward to next year and the year after that, what are your thoughts on the next challenge that needs to be solved in this space in general and specifically in what you're doing?
Well, 3 words. Application release automation. We have an amazing CI/CD pipeline. Our developers love it because it makes their lives so much easier. Project managers and our business stakeholders love it because it brings agility to projects and programs. It gets us all the way from committing the code to deploying into production and everything in between. Where there are gaps are in the area of doing complex, multi-component releases where multiple teams are involved, multiple applications are involved, and orchestrating that release has to be done outside of the CI/CD pipeline. So we are working on developing a solution for orchestrating multi-component complex releases where there are interdependencies between components. We are building this solution in Ansible, but we are also open to any products that may offer this functionality out of the box. That's the next challenge for us.
Great. We are going to have to wrap up, so maybe a couple more comments.
I'd say automate all the things.
Automate all the things.
I think we started on this journey, and this evolution is a longer process, but I think everyone kind of knows the benefits. We're seeing it, and everyone knows that they're on board, and let's keep chugging with this. So, when you see this happen on one area, everyone else wants to jump on board too, and that's an exciting time. So I don't think there's going to be any major revolutions coming. I think a lot of people are saying, okay, this works. So let's see what we can do to get more of this.
Great.
Last thing, but not the least, there are multiple applications that are being onboarded, not just in the space that we did. It happens all the way across where everybody is doing. So the biggest challenge that I see is sticking together all those applications to a common DevOps process. That's the difficult piece. Now, there are certain folks who are on legacy platform. It's not easy for them to give away that and move in and adopt the new change. So that's another challenge that I foresee. But then, how do you do that change management plus stick all your new applications, your current applications as well as your new applications in a common governance framework of DevOps? That's the challenge I see would need to be addressed.
So more types of applications tied in with more of the policies and security and automating more of the infrastructure and other components. Yeah, makes sense. All right, well, thank you very much for sharing your insights. I think we do have to wrap up, and congratulations to all of you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Arpana. Thank you, panelists. Google Cloud has been a great partner of DevOps World this year, and this morning's keynote will be delivered by David Stanke. Dave is a developer advocate for the Google Cloud Platform, and he is aligned with the DevOps community. He loves talking with practitioners, listening to stories, telling stories, and of course, as we can all understand in our business, sharing a good, healthy cry from time to time. Prior to Google, he was CTO of Ovation Tickets Theater Mania, a tech startup in the performing arts industry where he specialized in feeding memory to Java servers. He chose on purpose to live in, this can't be right, New Jersey? He chose to live in New Jersey. David, is that right?
No typo. That's no typo. Jersey proud. Thanks, Andre.
Thanks for being here, David.
Hi, my name is Dave, and I'm with Google. I want to give a huge thank you to Cloudbees, to the conference organizers, to everyone here, and folks watching on the live stream. Hello to New Jersey, people who chose to live there on purpose, and the ones who had it chosen for them. Hi, kids. In tech, we have a lot of spirit animals, from the Linux penguin to the Docker whale. Today, we're going to talk about sheepdogs. What's a sheepdog? We'll get to that. But let's start with, why do we do technology? By now, it's become an axiom, perhaps a cliche, that every business is a technology business. And the kind of technology that drives the most business value is software. These days, we have infrastructure as code, policy as code. So all technology is becoming software, which means that we are working in a time when software is the competitive landscape of business. DevOps is a tool, a mechanism for improving how we make software. It's an organizational and cultural movement that helps us deliver value to our customers in the form of software, faster and more reliably. Or to put it another way, DevOps makes your business better. We have evidence to support this. No doubt, many folks here are familiar with the work of the DevOps Research and Assessment Group, or DORA. DORA is a research group led by Dr. Nicole Forsgren that has been iterating for over 5 years to understand how DevOps works in the real world. Recently, Dr. Forsgren and her team joined Google Cloud, and it's been really amazing to collaborate with them to understand what makes teams successful and to share that knowledge with the community. The research shows us that team performance is predicted by 4 key metrics. First, cycle times. How long does it take for code to get from commit to actually be delivered to users? Second, what's the interval between releases? Are we measuring our velocity by releases per year or releases per day? Third, how often do deployments fail and need to be remediated? And finally, how long does it take, on average, to make those fixes? What's our mean time to repair, or MTTR? There is a huge spread between high performers and low performers. The really high performers, the elites, are way ahead of the pack on this. You may have seen these numbers before. I've seen them lots of times, and still, every time I'm stunned. These are really big numbers. But there's lots of numbers in the world. What makes these so special? DORA has shown that teams who score well on these measures use technology to deliver better business outcomes. It goes as far as this. Companies with teams that succeed at DevOps have stock prices that outperform their competitors. DORA has also shown that adopting modern infrastructure, especially cloud computing, is an influential factor in driving excellence. It helps organizations achieve speed, stability, and availability. Let's talk about cloud. Cloud computing really is revolutionary. It completely changes our profession. Instead of working on physical boxes, now we work on virtual infrastructure. The way we provision, modify, and deprovision our servers is now crazy fast, and it's super fluid. And this flexibility supports a whole new kind of creativity. It also requires new ways of thinking. There's a well-established metaphor about this. Before the cloud, servers were pets. They had names. We knew them well. We knew their abilities, we knew their quirks, and we cared for them as individuals. Our relationships with them spanned years, maybe even decades. In the cloud, servers are livestock. We move them around in herds. Picture a flock of sheep going from the barn to the pasture. It's like a river of fluffy wool. We don't know them as individuals, only in bulk. And the way we improve our systems is not by tweaking them one by one, but rather by improving the ways that we manage the herd. I actually think there's more than two animals in this zoo. We can look at infrastructure across a spectrum. At one end is bare metal. These aren't even quite pets, they're more like house plants. They're lovely, but not dynamic companions. Then we have our VMs, which are pets. Cloud instances are the livestock. And we don't treat them as individuals, but we can still identify them. When there's a new sheep born in your herd, that's an event. When we move up into something like Kubernetes, it's hard to even really get a bead on the individuals. They're more like a swarm of butterflies. Fun fact, the term for a group of butterflies is a kaleidoscope, with a K. At the far end are the emerging serverless platforms. These are like everything and nothing all at once. They're kind of like one of those beings of pure energy from Star Trek. They're very powerful. And for some reason, they're really interested in the human captain of one particular starship from some random Class M planet in the Milky Way. So it's evolution. As tech evolves, best practices evolve, and tools need to evolve. That's why Cloudbees and Google collaborate in a lot of different ways, all along the spectrum, to help you succeed at whatever fits your needs. But I'm troubled by something. When I talk to people about their CI/CD systems, I consistently hear that they lag behind the production systems that they operate on. They're not as highly evolved. I bet you know what I'm talking about. A typical story is something like this. We moved to the cloud, and so I took an old prod box and put Jenkins on it. It lives under my desk. Well, under my old desk, because I don't know the boot password, so I couldn't power it off. So it's up on the 8th floor. Or was that the 7th floor? I moved twice. It's around here somewhere. We're using legacy DevOps systems to operate on rapidly modernizing production systems. These are sheepdogs. Sheepdogs are pets that manage livestock. And while we love them dearly, they're holding us back. They're fragile, they're slow, they're overburdened. Tell me if this sounds familiar. The build is broken, and you're not sure whether it's a bad commit or if the CI system is wedged. What about long build queues, overflowing hard drives? You know that thing you need to do to the CI system every once in a while, but only one person knows how to do it, and they're on vacation? Okay, but why does it matter? Well, why does CI/CD matter? Let's go back to those DORA metrics. Optimizing these metrics is important for your business. Optimizing these metrics is important for business, and CI/CD plays a big part. Commit to prod time. Some of the time, maybe a lot of time, of this is spent waiting for CI builds to complete. They're slow, they're flaky, they're piled up in a queue. So we need CI/CD that is fast and scalable. The deployment interval, of course, speed and scale, but also adaptability. As code evolves, they often need new changes to how you're building it. And that means we need a CI/CD that can evolve along with the code base. Change failure rates. How do we reduce failures? By helping devs write great code. Fast, insightful feedback loops need fast and reliable CI/CD. And mean time to repair. That's going to need good testing and dependable deployments. Again, high-quality CI/CD. So, fast, scalable, reliable, adaptable, secure. These are the things we want in our production systems. To achieve that, we need these qualities in CI/CD as well. And we can get there. We can modernize CI/CD. But that means we need to retire the sheepdog. We should adopt something more like, I don't know, like a robot cat. So let's look at how we can evolve CI/CD and modernize it using cloud-native technologies. Now, I've just finished ranting about how essential CI/CD systems are and how it's a big problem when they're not reliable. So now I'm going to tell you to throw everything out and replace it with something brand new, right? No, I'm not. I want to talk about incremental steps. I'm really excited about where we're headed. But I'm also really glad that no matter where we are along the spectrum, there are concrete steps we can take today. Let's continuously improve our CI/CD. Every step can move us forward and help us perform better. First, let's look at how to augment an existing system to upgrade in place. I want to show you some techniques that you can use the cloud to enhance a traditional Jenkins pet. At Google Cloud, we have a dedicated team of engineers called the Cloud Graphite team. They provide integrations to popular open source tools that make it super simple to use those tools with GCP. For example, they work on the Terraform GCP provider, Ansible modules on GCP, Logstash plugins, and Cloud Foundry on GCP. One of Graphite's priorities is making really first-rate Jenkins plugins for connecting to Google Cloud. That includes the OAuth plugin for authentication, cloud storage for build artifacts, the Compute Engine plugin for provisioning workers, and the Kubernetes Engine plugin to deploy to GKE. A lot of the techniques we're going to talk about leverage their work. A big challenge for CI/CD is scalability. Because build, test, deploy is a classic example of a seriously spiky workload. First thing in the morning, the CI/CD system has been sitting idle all night and it's ready to go. And the engineers come in and they start code, and then they start kicking off builds. And then the queue starts backing up. And then the engineers start waiting, and they start getting cranky. And they're losing focus, and they're doing other things. And this is how the day goes by. And then at the end of the day, people wrap up, they go home, the queue dries up, and now the CI/CD system is idle. It's ready to go again, just when no one's using it. So most of the time, it's going to be either over-provisioned or under-provisioned. At least, that's what happens when we have a fixed pool of worker nodes. This is a pet with pets, a Jenkins master that orchestrates a fleet of persistent workers. What's hard here is that it's impossible to get exactly the right number of workers. If you have enough that you don't have queuing at peak times, then you have a lot of excess capacity at idle times. And that's a hard cost to justify to management. But the cloud is fundamentally built for elastic scalability. With the cloud, instead of a fixed pool of always-on workers, we can provision cloud instances on demand. We create a template, and then whenever a new build kicks off, Jenkins spins up a worker just in time. So we can scale up to build as many jobs in parallel as we like, and we're only going to pay for these instances when they're actually doing work. Each build gets its own clean VM, which is recycled at the end of the build. This is also a great use case for Google Compute Engine preemptible instances, which can save a ton of money. To make it really easy to run these on-demand workers, the Graphite team provides a plugin for GCE. It automatically provisions and terminates compute instances. You can find it in the plugin manager by looking for Google Compute Engine. Another benefit of on-demand agents is that they're really easy to keep up to date. If there's a security vulnerability, you don't need to go around one by one patching all those individual boxes. Instead, you just update your template, and then every job gets a clean, patched machine. So far, I've been talking about things where the Jenkins master doesn't even have to be on modern infrastructure. It can still live under your desk or under someone's desk, and you get builds that are more scalable, more secure. Now let's move another notch on that cloud spectrum and see what we can get. What if we ran Jenkins on cloud-native infrastructure? And of course, I'm talking in particular about Kubernetes. It's surprisingly easy to get started. In Google's Kubernetes Engine Marketplace, you can find wizards that will spin up Cloudbees core or Jenkins onto your GKE instance. You'll see the familiar Jenkins UI, and you can bring over all of your plugins and your existing job configurations. Right away, you'll get all those Kubernetes goodies like self-healing. And with GKE, you get managed clusters with features like automatic patching, auto-scaling, and upgrades. Here's one of my favorite things about running Jenkins on Kubernetes. If there's one thing that's consistent in the organizations I talk to, it's a lack of consistency. Any successful large organization is going to have lots of applications built at lots of different times using lots of different technologies, different languages, different frameworks, tons of dependencies. It's a beautiful mosaic. But it's hard on CI because every application needs a different tool chain. Typically, we've solved this by loading up our workers with all sorts of tools, Java, Python, .NET, multiple versions of each, all crashing into each other. We overfeed these pets, and they're not healthy. With Jenkins on Kubernetes, we get the advantage of customized, containerized workers as code. This goes a step further than those on-demand workers I showed before. Now, instead of having a pre-baked template that lives in your cloud config, your worker definitions are saved and versioned right along with the code they build. Whenever you're doing a build, Jenkins will conjure up a Kubernetes pod with just the right tools for the job. This means no more fat pets. If a developer comes to you and says, we're excited to use a cool new language, it uses a special build tool. You don't have to cringe and worry if it'll play nice with all the other stuff. You can just add a line to a Docker file, and that special build tool will appear right when it needs to. And when that build's done, poof, that tool's gone, ready for when you need it again. Let's talk about portability. By nature, software is weightless. It's easy to move it around. It's easy to interconnect it and make new things. But in real life, things don't always work so smooth, do they? In so many subtle ways, cloud native is different from cloud, is different from on-prem. And that causes duplicated efforts and dead ends and headaches. This is why hybrid is such an important topic right now. How do we minimize friction when our workloads span across multiple public clouds, private clouds, and on-prem? Google's answer is Anthos. This is a managed infrastructure stack that builds on open source platforms like Kubernetes and Istio. Anthos provides a consistent substrate across heterogeneous environments. So the same software runs on GCP, in your data center, even on AWS, all with a consistent control plane. And this is really interesting when it comes to CI/CD. For example, you can run your builds in the cloud and take advantage of that scalable worker load for those spiky workloads. Then deploy to production servers that run on-prem. All right, now, let's think about a truly modern CI/CD. Something that harnesses all the power of the cloud and bakes in everything we've learned about DevOps. What would that look like? According to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, or CNCF, cloud native computing is defined by things like containerization, immutable architecture, declarative APIs, and loose coupling. The cloud facilitates these modern practices, and we can build on them to make a CI/CD that will grow into the future. I also think there's another key aspect here. It's not necessarily part of the cloud native definition, but it's important, and it's openness. Over the past 10 to 20 years, organizations of all kinds, startups, enterprise, even the public sector, have embraced the open source exchange of ideas. I strongly suspect that it's no coincidence that this is roughly the same time frame in which we've seen the birth of cloud and of DevOps. We've learned from experience. When we solve common problems together, we all get stronger common foundations. And that gives us time to focus on building our differentiators. Right now, these threads are coming together into a shared effort to define CI/CD for the next generation of software. Earlier this year, the Continuous Delivery Foundation was launched. The CDF is a sister organization to the CNCF. Its mission is to establish common best practices and encode them into open source software. The founding members of the CDF include Google, Cloudbees, CircleCI, JFrog, Capital One, Netflix, and Salesforce. We're working together to reduce fragmentation and establish durable standards that let us innovate at a higher level. The first 4 open source projects in the CDF are Jenkins, Jenkins X, Spinnaker, and, oh, what's that? That's that robot cat we were looking for. Meet Tekton. Tekton is an open source framework for CI/CD. It originated at Google, and now it's part of the CDF. It runs on Kubernetes, so it inherits cloud-native benefits like scalability, encapsulation, and declarative configuration as code. Tekton distills best practices for modern CI/CD into a set of universal primitives. Just like how Kubernetes is a universal runtime that makes applications portable between different infrastructure, Tekton makes CI/CD workloads portable. We're building common CI/CD functionality into a shared platform that lets us focus on building opinionated solutions on top. Jenkins X is Cloudbees' implementation of a Tekton executor. It natively runs Tekton pipelines, so workloads are portable to any system that can run Tekton, which is any Kubernetes cluster. Because it's from Cloudbees, it has a familiar developer experience and supports existing Jenkins projects. I mentioned earlier that Google and Cloudbees work together in a lot of ways, and Jenkins X is a great example. Cloudbees Jenkins X is a stable release channel supported by Cloudbees. The first, and currently only cloud, supported is Google Kubernetes engine. In fact, the Cloudbees Jenkins X team uses Google Cloud as their development platform. Wherever you are in the spectrum, and wherever you're headed, I hope you've heard some things to help you think of ways that you can benefit from more modern CI/CD. So let's circle back to why this matters. Let's ask ourselves this. What is the business of your business? What product or service does it provide? I'm willing to bet that your mission is not to provide a CI/CD platform to your end users. Vendors don't answer. Everyone else, is that your business? Is that your company's mission? No. Whatever your mission is, you want to spend as much of your energy as you can on fulfilling that mission. When we have CI/CD that simply works, that's simply secure, that simply scales, that's when we can really focus on delivering software. We can use our tools to bring unique value to our users. I want to close with this thought. We've seen the value of moving forward into modern practices like DevOps. We know that whatever our business is, software development is an essential capability. And to succeed in software, we need production systems that are fast and support frequent, reliable deployments. Our systems need to support experimentation and quick recovery. Rapid adaptability at scale is essential to business success. It's an essential feature of our business. What's the engine of that adaptability? CI/CD. So, practically speaking, your CI/CD system is a production system. And it needs to be just as performant, just as scalable, just as secure, and just as reliable as the rest of your prod infrastructure. So it's time to say, Sheepdog, thank you for your work. You've been a faithful companion. Now come and curl up by the fireplace and rest. It's time for modern software automation that can deliver us into an exciting new cloud-native world. Now we want to hear from you. So come find my colleagues and me at the Google sponsor booth, or tweet at me, and tell us what you've learned. On behalf of Google Cloud, thank you.
David, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
What a great presentation by David. Just one thing before I let you go to the break that I wanted to cover with you. The Cloudbees family lost one of its own last week. Samantha Beckwith was based in the Boston area. She was a young, fun-loving individual. And I can tell you, everyone at Cloudbees, our hearts were broken last week when we learned of her passing unexpectedly. Samantha, touched everyone in a permanent way with her vibrance and her personality. So, if you will, please, join me in celebrating her life with a round of applause for Samantha. All right, thank you. Next is a break and then sessions, and we'll see you back in this room at 4 o'clock. Thank you, everyone.